In the spring of 2024, Sabrina Carpenter ended her debut Coachella set with a cheeky promise to return to the desert as a headliner. At the time, she was a mid-tier performer chasing viral success with witty lyrical punchlines, the kind of artist the industry often treats as a passing internet trend, rather than a pillar of the main stage. Exactly 2 years later, she returned to that same field as headliner, acknowledging the crowd with the confidence of someone who knew this was coming. That jump was powered by a relentless 2-year cycle, the caffeine-fueled success of Espresso, the chart-topping Short and Sweet, and a subsequent B-side album that kept her music at the center of the cultural conversation. This sustained output changed the stakes for her 2026 set. She had generated enough new hits that Nonsense, the very song that first broke her into the mainstream, didn't even make the 20-plus song setlist. The Coachella main stage represents the highest physical scale, demanding a performance that can command a crowd of over 100,000 people. The expectation shifted in 2025 when Lady Gaga delivered a high-concept pop opera that replaced the standard festival set with a full-scale theatrical production. Gaga's performance set a new requirement for the artists who followed. A headliner can no longer simply play their hits. They must execute a cohesive 90-minute narrative. For Carpenter, this meant her set had to move past her vocal ability and into the construction of a fully realized multi-act world. The 2026 headlining slot became an audition for permanent relevance, requiring her to prove she could anchor the same kind of ambitious theater that defined the generation of pop stars before her. Her solution was Sabrinawood, a physical environment built into the stage that mimicked the iconic imagery of the Hollywood Hills. The set featured extravagant practical elements, including a vintage car and a rising chair that functioned as a choreographed water fountain for the show's finale. Because most of the audience was positioned hundreds of yards away, 4K cinematic videography was used to translate the intimate stage details into a large-scale visual experience on the festival screens. Orchestrating this level of detail required a massive logistics operation, coordinating constant set rotations and costume changes while maintaining the energy of a live concert. The final production functioned as a desert-based Hollywood backlot, replacing the typical flat LED backdrop with a multi-layered interactive theater space. This timeline shows how the 90-minute set was organized into distinct cinematic chapters, each defined by a specific character persona and musical style. The opening chapter features Carpenter as a classic starlet, using the glittering, modern musical aesthetic popularized by director Damien Chazelle. The narrative then shifts to a 1970s recording artist in a wood-paneled studio, using the hit Please, Please, Please to frame a story about the pressures of the music industry. Later, she adopts the role of a burlesque star for the anthem Chem, performing complex chair choreography with a full entourage of dancers. Pre-filmed cinematic chapter breaks were strategically placed throughout the set to provide cover for the massive logistical resets required between these personas. These interludes integrated unexpected comedy from Will Ferrell, which served to ground the high-concept theater in her signature cheeky humor. She also recruited veteran dramatic actors like Susan Sarandon and Samuel L. Jackson for monologues and voiceovers, adding layers of narrative weight to the production. By rotating through these characters and trading scenes with film icons, Carpenter successfully blurred the distinction between a pop performance and a character-driven acting reel. The density of the Sabrinawood production meant the set frequently bordered on sensory overkill, which can be a risk in the open-air environment of a music festival. This complexity led to operational friction. Desert winds occasionally muffled the celebrity monologues, and technical microphone issues interrupted the flow of the narrative. At times, the theatrical ambition of the show felt as though it was outrunning her relatively young body of work, forcing 2 years of hits to do the work of a decade-long catalog. However, these technical gaps were anchored by her live vocals, which sounded more resonant and capable in person than on her studio recordings. The set closed with Carpenter driving a vintage car toward the horizon as end credits rolled on screen, symbolically finishing the movie she had spent 90 minutes building. By controlling the script, the physical sets, and the pacing of the night, Carpenter successfully transformed herself from a pop savant into the primary director of her own cinematic universe.